Hello, Galaxy. I'm Chris Pirillo, and I have been a fan of USB from the very beginning because I remember a day when we had parallel ports and serial cables. Not fun. By the way, parallel cables, you should never lie perpendicular. Ever. I found that out the hard way. So when USB came along, I was like, dude, this is so easy. Plug and play. Dude, easy, done. The biggest problem with USB back in the day, and I guess we're still dealing with today, the Type A connector, is you'd go to insert it this way, it didn't work, so you'd flip it and try to do it that way, and it didn't work, so you'd flip it back again, and then it works. I can't be the only person this has happened to. So I thought USB-C, magical. I know there are different types of speeds that can be I guess used within these cables. The different types of specs for these cables, but ultimately, a USB-C cable should work for the most part, depending on what it is that you're trying to do. It's universal. It flips either way. It's great. Well, before we really had this, we had Lightning, at least for Apple products. And that was awesome. Seriously, like, dude, doesn't matter which way you flip it. It solves a big problem. But at this point, Lightning doesn't really solve a problem at all. I mean, it solves maybe a problem for Apple, but nobody else. And Apple's not the only company on the planet. So when the EU comes out and says, okay, gotta go with USB-C for charging. Got to. Some people are like, get the government out. I'm like, well, yeah, but come on. How much cables do you? How many cables do you still have lying around? How many? Do you have USB Mini, USB Micro? Oh God, devices still ship with USB Micro. Still to this day, we've got USB-C. What are they doing? I know they're trying to save a few bucks, but not with that. Like I would happily pay an extra $1 to have a USB-C port. Happily, because we need to plug in. You know, our devices, they still need to be plugged in. I know wireless charging, which isn't really wireless, because ultimately that's connected to something. I mean, one day, yes, we will be able to suck electricity out of the air and into our devices. I mean, this has been happening in limited tests for a little while now, but eventually, yeah, I believe we'll be there. We will have a different world when that technology is prevalent. But for the time being, we're dealing with cables. And with cables comes clutter, especially when a cable doesn't work or you upgrade to a new device and then like, what am I going to do with this cable? I'm never going to, but then I might get a device in the future. So I'm going to stick it in this drawer that becomes a bin, that becomes a closet, that becomes an entire room. I went through and decluttered all my cables last year, like got rid of like, I swear, a metric ton of cables. Haven't needed one since. And the way I look at it, I'm like, well, if I do need one, I'll just go buy one. I mean, it's taking up space, too much clutter, too much to find. Was it this spec? Was it that spec? They're constantly releasing different specs. I'm like, I don't know. All I'm saying is, as far as the EU is concerned, I feel I'm okay with that decision that was made. I don't want the government making all decisions. I don't think the government should necessarily say exactly what should be done in every step of the way. In the process, this could very well be a slippery slope. But I do also believe that the cables that are used for charging should be standardized. And who else is going to enforce it? You can't get the companies to do anything. They're gonna chase their own self-interest, right? And who can blame them? Not me, right? But what does that mean for the rest of the world, right? What do we have to deal with? Who's going to look out for us? We don't have a lobby, effectively. So, on one hand, I don't like that it came to this, but on the other hand, I'm actually really glad it came to this. So this may push people, or push companies, I should say, away from cables altogether, which I don't think is very practical. I think we're not there yet. I think that's maybe 10 years away. Maybe. That's the conservative guess, because cables, good luck. People trying to get rid of cables, not so easy, not so fast. But companies may very well just drop the charging port altogether, which again creates a usability problem. And I don't think the world's ready for that. They were less ready, I would say. No, let me say it this way. They were more ready, because they weren't. Keep that in mind. They were more ready for removing the headphone jack. People are still complaining about that. People were more ready for removing the headphone jack than they would be ready to lose access to that cable. Because there are just certain situations that just need a cable when you're talking about the devices. So what's Apple going to do? What are they going to do? I don't have an answer to that question. Now, granted, Apple's already said, yeah, we like USB-C. We're going to throw it in our iPads. We're going to throw it in our other products. But The iPhone's the only one that's currently clinging to lightning cables, effectively, at this stage. Well, no, they've got some accessories, but they could all move to USB-C. Or they could go full wireless. I don't know. Either way, honestly, I'd be happy. If they went full wireless, I'd be a little concerned. Because, like, it doesn't work for every particular scenario. Certainly not seamlessly. I don't think the ecosystem support is quite there, and it would take at least 5 to 10 years to ramp up. And we're still not even there with headphones. Oh my god. You can still buy headphones with mini jack connectors. You're never going to get rid of it. So, I'm in between, right? I'm both happy and kind of like, I hope they don't start saying things that could be, like, not good for the rest of us, because they don't necessarily understand technology. They understand very clearly that we have drawers of cables that we're never going to use, which increases trash, which increases clutter, which increases just the mess. Not to mention the compatibility issues. At least if you're dealing with a set standard for devices that we now all use, then we know we're steering towards a common middle, because nobody else has done it for us. Nobody else is doing it for us. So that's when you have to expect that someone's going to step in and speak up on the user's behalf. So I'm in between, but mostly on the side of, thank God